Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. More Pillage here as we wrap up coverage of the expansion for the new scenarios called Winding Way. So this is the fifth and final scenario called Christ's Sandals. It's going to be one that definitely is a little more terrain intensive, which we'll get to in just a second, but let's take a look at what the mission brings us here. This action takes place on the 6th of January, 882 at Prim Abbey near Trier in what is now Germany. This is the abbey in which Lothair I, Emperor of the Franks, died in 855. Attached to the monastery is a hospital and a large monastic school where the upper echelons of the Frankish nobility are educated. It also holds one of the largest libraries in the empire and even a scriptorium. Prim Abbey is therefore a rich cultural center and one of the richest in the West. There's even a gift from Pepin the Short amidst its many treasures, the Sandals of Christ. When the Vikings arrive to sack the abbey, the civilian population attempts a defense and tries to hide the precious sandals. So here, once again, we have Vikings as attackers, and here Franks actually as the defenders. And again, you could create other variations of this scenario with other factions just to spice things up a little bit if you don't actually have these two factions to play with. Here, actually, attacker and defender get equal-sized forces. Usually there's an offset when you have these attacker-defenders scenarios, but here everything's equal. The attacker deploys first, and then it's the defender's turn. The attacker does get the initiative in turn 1, and it's an 8-turn game. So to win, the defender has to hide the sandals and ensure the attacker can't burn the monastery. And the attacker wins if they can set the monastery on fire. Now, it's a major victory if they can grab the sandals before they're hit as well. Weather here, clear skies, but again, as always, if you want to vary things up, bring in some weather. Easy enough. Forces here equal in points, but not in equipment, though. The monastery is made up of several wooden buildings with thatched roofs, all of which can be burned without penalty. Special rules. The monastery itself is made up of several buildings: the chapel, the school, the scriptorium, and the hospital. All of them must be set on fire for the attacker to win. Now, the sandals start the game in the chapel. The defender has to pick them up before they can hide them. The figure carrying the sandals, as per the loot rules, has to hide them in its deployment zone, which can only be done when no enemy figures have line of sight to it. When this becomes possible, the figure declares the sandals hidden at the end of its movement phase. At that point, they can no longer be found by the attacker. We'll take a look at the map in a second. Hopeless defense. At least 50% of the figures in the defender's force must be peasants, so they can't have armor and must only be armed with improvised weapons, which is going to make it pretty damn hard to fight against Vikings, especially when they bring in berserkers and other stuff like that. By the grace of God, when the sandals are hidden, a storm breaks out. The weather changes to heavy rain for the rest of the game, so that will definitely affect any range attacks for the Vikings and just in general nasty conditions. So, the map here, we see the monasteries at the center of the table. Again, we'll look in a second here. Various buildings form a central square around a small cloistered kitchen garden. A few houses, fields, and vegetable patches are scattered around the cemetery, or the monastery. The armies deploy opposite board edges up to 4 inches onto the table. Chapel house is number 1. The chapel housing Christ Sandals is number 1. The hospital is 2. The school is 3. Scriptorium 4. So, let's take a look here. And then, here, then they have the sort of current fires and stuff that are going. But anyway, so you can see what we've got going here. Now, it is pretty rough that, if the sandals are in building 1, the Vikings are going to have a little bit more of a path towards that. The defenders are slightly closer, but nonetheless, still, if we go 18 in and 18 in, then there's that little gap in the middle there, but still well within range where they could be dealing with any defenders rushing towards that. So, but you get an idea here, right? You got that sort of central square going, the different buildings. Obviously, getting to the scriptorium and setting it on fire will be easier for the Vikings because it's just literally straight in. And even building 3, the school, will give them an easy path with plenty of cover from the defenders. Not that they have to overly worried about what the defenders have as far as weapons go. So it's more just going to be a race, for the defenders to get to the chapel as fast as possible, get back out of there, and again, they have to get back to their deployment zone and then be out of line of sight. So realistically, probably not going to go all the way over here just because of the time involved. Vikings could easily be coming up this side as well. So it's probably going to be something where we need to get to the Sandals, get them out of there, get behind this little building and the wall, and then kind of like drop off in here, or even some of the like bushes or trees or whatever that might be over here. So Vikings, though, they're gonna have to really get in and get aggressive. You only have 8 turns, but also, right, you need to burn all the buildings. Not going to be the most difficult part, but really trying to catch the defenders before they get those Sandals hidden. So some of your forces definitely is going to need to deploy here, rush up the field, maybe even let them get there, but swing around and try and prevent them from getting into their deployment zone, but also trying to rush into the gap here. But setting buildings 3 and 4 on fire pretty quickly shouldn't be much of a problem. Really could probably even migrate onto building 2, but again, probably going to have to kind of create like a pincer attack to keep them from getting the Sandals hidden, and then ultimately, as occasion allows, get the buildings burnt. So, and again, there's several existing fires going, as you can kind of see from the map icon, and then on the board here. So with the Vikings too, they'll need to take advantage of again, just speed and aggression. Definitely having some missile troops and just getting some good lines of sight. And, might even make sense to, again, rush all the way up here a little bit just to have line of sight. Hopefully catch anybody running to the deployment zone, carrying the Sandals, and drop them. So, but a super fun scenario. So it's a little bit of a twist on just the typical attacker-defender scenario here. Equal points, although the defenders, again, really don't have much in the way of equipment. You could even spice some things up a little bit too here, and maybe have some like equipment stashes in different parts of the map, where if your peasants could get there, maybe they could acquire something like a regular sword, or even a javelin or a spear or something like that, just to give them a little bit of a chance against the Vikings. But interesting to test this out, certainly. And again, not just the typical attacker-defender scenario, but really here one where then we also have to move an objective. There's static objectives as far as the buildings go, but then also a movable one. So a lot of neat things working in this scenario here. Very well designed, very eager to test this one out. Let us know, guys, if you have played this one already and what variations you may have done for the regular rules. Hit us up in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you for more Pillage very soon. Thanks for watching.